Hey friends, it's Hope, and today I'm here to do a non-spoiler book review over The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. So at the beginning of this book, we are following Cassie Sullivan, and we know from the beginning that horrible things have happened and she is doing everything she can to make it on her own. Survival is key at this point because an alien invasion has taken over the earth. They are in the fourth wave right now, and she is just waiting for the fifth wave to happen. And because all of the craziness that has happened up until this point, she can literally trust no one. Of course, you can't have a whole book with a character who has no interaction with anybody. Well, maybe you can, but I don't know how good that will actually be. So of course, one day she meets a guy named Evan, and it's taken her a really long time to decide if she can actually trust this Evan boy or not. He seems a little suspicious, but he has really good intentions. But she has to keep reminding herself that her #1 rule at this point is to not trust anybody except for herself, because the whole world is currently falling apart. That's pretty much all I can really say at this point onto what the book is about without really going into more specifics. And like I said, I don't want to spoil you guys. So let's just go ahead and talk about some of the things that I really liked about the book and some things that I really didn't like about the book. I'm going to go ahead and start with some positives. I thought Rick Yancey did a beautiful job at really portraying the survival aspect of this book and what goes into surviving. Cassie literally does not know if she's going to wake up alive the next morning, and so paranoia just really sinks in, and Yancey did a great job with allowing the reader to read these characters' paranoia and then actually feel it too. I remember going through some chapters, I was feeling paranoid for the poor girl, and when she did meet Evan at first, I was thinking, girl, do not trust him. Stick with your gut, because you never know, he may be a good-looking boy and you haven't seen one in forever, but he could easily kill you. So I thought the way that Yancey wrote that paranoia and the survival instinct was done beautifully. I really love that. I did also really like Cassie as a character. She was pretty kick butt. What I love the most about her is she adored her family, and even though it meant making some really heart-wrenching choices, she did what she thought was right for her family. I really enjoyed reading about someone who would go to great lengths to try to keep their family alive as long as they could. Another thing that I really liked about the book is the last 30% of this novel. I was on the edge of my seat. Pretty much after I found out what the fifth wave actually was, I was totally hooked, super intrigued. My mind was blown. I was talking to myself after I realized what it was, and my sister-in-law got a good laugh. She was like, you know it's never good when you're over there mumbling to yourself. I mean, my mind was blown. I still cannot believe what a turn this book actually took. So yeah, so some of these plot twists were actually pretty good. Some of them a little bit predictable, totally saw it coming, but the fifth wave aspect of it, mind blown. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about some things that I didn't so much enjoy. The first thing that I really didn't like was actually the multiple point of views. And while I normally love multiple point of views, this just didn't do it for me. And the main reason why is because I had a really hard time figuring out who was who. Like for example, at the beginning of the book, we know we're reading from Cassie's point of view. I totally got that. And then X amount of chapters in, we're reading from Zombie's point of view. And it took me a couple pages to realize that it was not Cassie. So then when I figured out it wasn't Cassie's point of view that we're reading from, I had to go back those couple pages and reread it, because like I said, I was just very confused. And this happened, I would say, about 70% of the time when the point of view changed. I had a bit of confusion, it took me a couple paragraphs to really realize who I was reading about in that moment. So yeah, the characters' voices in this book just weren't as strong as I would have hoped it would be. Another thing that I originally did not enjoy about the book is all the backstory. I feel like it took a long time for us to kind of get caught up to present day, and I really didn't understand the importance of all this backstory. Of course, later on you realize how important it really is, but it just took a long time for me to actually feel invested in this book. But I just wish that it had a faster pace in the beginning, and I think because I didn't really like the multiple point of views and it took a really long time for me to get into the book, it just made me not feel like connected to the characters. And that was the third and last thing I didn't really like about this book. When I'm reading a book, I really love to feel and relate and empathize with these characters, and I just did not get it in the fifth wave. I think I may have told someone, or I may have posted this on GoodReads, but as I was reading this novel, I thought to myself, if any one of these characters dies, would I be upset? And the answer was no. So for me, I really wasn't attached to any of the characters really until the very end. There was one character in particular who I cannot talk about, but they just made some really amazing sacrifices and finally came clean to who this person really was and really went out of their way to save people who they probably shouldn't have been saving in the first place. So yeah, that one person I am really smitten by at the current moment. But other than that, if anybody else had died in this novel, I would have been like, yeah, oh well. So the ending of this book was actually really good. I really enjoyed the ending. And I know that a lot of people have said that the Infinite Sea is actually kind of frustrating because it's also pretty slow and like nothing happens in that book. I have it on audiobook, and so I'm probably going to listen to it instead of read it. But yeah, I am like so about this novel. A part of me really enjoyed it. Another part of me didn't enjoy it. So I think I'm just gonna give this book a solid 3 stars. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever read, but it also wasn't the best thing I've ever read. But with that said, I am super stoked to see the movie. All right, friends, well that does it for my non-spoiler book review over The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. I would love to know if you guys thought the same things that I did about not really liking certain aspects of the book. And I would also like to know if you guys did indeed read The Infinite Sea and what you guys thought. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys so much, and I hope you guys have the most wonderful day. And like always, I'm sure I will see you soon. Bye.